In the previous episode...
And your every move is made to make him notice you.
Oof. Damn, Luke, put on some glasses. You are reading her. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Letter. In the previous episode, Luke read Becca from front to back. That was pretty much it. Anyway, I never actually read these options. So he read her, and she's trying to come back with a retort. I don't need to answer that. What right do you have? Those are both quite defensive. I want Luke to be on my good side, so I'm gonna see what option comes up. Okay. I don't need to answer that. However, those are for me to ponder on. This arse doesn't need to hear them, and neither is he entitled to them just because he dished out some profound-sounding life wisdom no one asked for. So I look away, hoping my own silence would be enough of an answer for him. And it is, for a moment. Up until warm, furious tears prickle behind my eyes, stinging, begging for release, along with every other frustration this dumb talk has built up in me. All because of this man. I hate him. I hate the fact that he has to be the one to see me in this sorry state. I'm already expecting another barb from him when his expression shifts. Except he panics. In the span of 3 seconds, his expression changes from indifferent to concerned to utter panic. It would probably have been funny if I weren't so irked by the sight of this... I'm not saying that. Bastard.
Hey, are you crying? Are you going to cry?
I mean, you basically just, like, hard-truthed her.
Stop that right now, woman, or I'll...
Will you shut up?
He clams up almost before I could finish. Whether this is due to the sudden force in my voice or how I look, I pretend not to think of it. He seems like a deer caught in the headlights with the way he's making himself smaller in his seat. But I'm still pissed. I'm tired, and if I can't punch him, I can at least scream at him.
You're an annoying bag of dick, you know that? If I hear another word from you, I'm sewing that bloody mouth shut myself.
It does do the trick. Not to the effect I've hoped, but the moment I've snapped at him, the stinging at the back of my eyes melts away and a strange calm overcomes me. A fragile thing when found in the middle of a busy coffee shop. Nevertheless, it's appreciated considering it does last, immediately broken by the very person that put me in that state with a few awkward pats on my shoulder. Done twice. Thrice. And another. Until my patience runs out again and I'm pulling out the book from my bag, raising it threateningly over his head. It'll surely dent his skull if it slams down at his height. Part of me wants to see that, but I restrain myself. He has the good sense to recoil though. Shortly, he shrinks back to his seat and waves his hand in front of him in a gesture of surrender.
Watch that book, woman! I already warned you about your little threats. You don't want to see my brand of angry!
Then keep your hands to yourself!
All right, that's it. People these days, I swear you treat them nicely and this is where it gets me.
You did not treat her nicely.
You're the last person I'd ever want to comfort me. Even if we're the only 2 remaining people on Earth. Don't flatter yourself.
He just dropped a truth bomb on her and then awkwardly patted her on the shoulder like, I'm sorry.
Okay, have it your way, Daisy.
And stop calling me Daisy! I have a name, you know.
He mutters something inaudible under his breath, although afterwards he doesn't say anything further. For the next minute, he simply contents himself with making a mess out of the paper napkins, folding them into clean shapes without any clear intent before crumpling them in his hand when he loses interest and dumping them in a small pile in front of him. A waiter serves our meal soon enough, and Kylie makes her way back to our table. But before I can take a single bite, he mutters something. The words spoken in the same tone he's used since morning, all under his breath whenever the true, honest part of himself would show. Despite my rather confusing opinion of the man, I stop short of shoving my food in my mouth to look at him. His eyes are on his food as he speaks, busying himself with cutting a portion of meat on his plate. But what comes out of his mouth only rings true against my ears above the din of the coffee house.
For what it's worth, Rebecca, I didn't ever think that's all there is to you.
Oh.
Why else would I leave my own goddaughter in your care if you're just some lovesick woman?
He spears a piece of his food, pops it into his mouth, and that's it. One whole day with this man and I still can't figure what his deal is. But for what it's worth as well, I don't think he's an entirely bad guy. The rest of our meal slips by in the silence afterwards. Aside from Kylie's occasional chatter, the whole dinner goes by without another word exchanged between the 2 of us. Somehow we manage to make it through the whole thing without triggering another tension-riddled conversation. A good thing, perhaps. 1, because Kylie's sitting in front of us, and 2, I probably won't be able to hold a proper conversation with my mind heaving with thoughts. We depart from the coffee house just as the evening crowd starts to thin out. The same wordless silence fills our short walk back to school. School? What time is it? Except for when Luke gestures at a nearby flower shop and enters it without waiting for Kylie and I. He emerges minutes after carrying a bouquet of daffodils with the same softened expression back on his face. Aww. Unlike the previous ones, he tucks this one away almost as soon as he looks up at us, a moment he's not willing to share. At my confusion, he merely answers with a shrug and continues walking.
For someone important.
I accept it for what it is, if only because he doesn't owe me an explanation. It does leave more questions about him, each one as baffling as the previous one. Those are the last words spoken this evening before we head our own way. Up until I arrive home, I still can't understand him. Here, however, a whole different set of questions awaits me. And much like everything today, it comes with the littlest of things. A lone note greets me upon reaching my unit's door, its edges flutter lightly against the faint, warm breeze passing through the small complex. My hand stops short of twisting the knob as I stare at it, though I don't make any moves to take it. Ashton's neat script lines its surface. Dropped by earlier. You weren't around. Any ideas where Scaredy Cat is? I couldn't contact her. Inspector Abigail has a few questions. LPD stuff, something about her dead coworkers. Anyway. Why did you become a Valley Girl? Let me know how the two of you have been doing. I'll see you later, Ash. Kissy face. The message he left, short and straight to the point, but not without underlying hint of friendship. He's looking for Isabella, apparently. Something about LPD's investigation of her coworker's death, but ends its formal tone by checking on me. Us. Any other day, the former part of his message will likely prod at the piercing envy I've been holding, while the latter will probably send my heart aflutter. Thursday, October 27th. Luke and Kylie invited Rebecca for dinner as she was about to leave. Despite receiving a text message from Ashton, Rebecca agreed to and the three spent the evening at a nearby coffee house. Upon returning to her flat, she found a note that Ashton left for her. Little things from him that I want to mean something more. Yet this time only guilt fills me and my eyes briefly shift towards Isabella's empty unit. Luke's words repeat inside my head as I do so.
For what it's worth, Rebecca, I didn't ever think that's all there is to you. Why else would I leave my own goddaughter in your care if you're just some lovesick woman?
Have I always been like this?
Yeah. This selfish? In truth, I've intended to call Ash after that dinner. If I didn't catch him here, invite him to that party like I've planned. There's time, and he's still probably awake around this hour. But my hands won't move. And perhaps it is for the better. Until I've had the time to think this through, it's best if I distance myself from those I've been clinging so tightly to. Find a different perspective and see things for what they are. With a soft sigh, I reach for the note and crumple it under my hand. Character development, Becca. The knob twists open with much ease when I enter this time. Also, I don't know about you guys, but I'm imagining this is Isabella's room and that's Becca's. Maybe after some introspection, it'll be easier. For tomorrow, I have that woman and the mansion to worry about. October 28th, Friday. Double check. So, today is housewarming party. Marianne gets stuck in the basement. There is the revelation of Luke's infidelity. And Zach comforts Hannah. The night wears on without further incident despite the great number of thoughts swimming inside my head. Come morning, there's only a hush, a strained sort of stillness unlike the ones greeting me every morn. This one's uneasy, tight with anticipation, like a string stretched thin, merely waiting for the proper time to snap. Granted, it doesn't make my day any less pleasant, but the edge is there. And, as expected, the second I step out of my flat, it comes apart, broken by the voices of two squabbling adults echoing from a floor below. The quiet was nice while it lasted. Shame.
What the hell were you thinking?
I wasn't. Ow! Could you let go?
Not a few seconds later, they both ascend the stairs, with Ashton pulling Isabella by her wrist. She struggles as she should, but his hold on her remains firm. Okay, if someone did that to me, I would be fucking pissed. If someone grabbed my wrist and started dragging me, I would yank it and be like, don't fucking touch me. Okay? Freeing herself means having to draw blood as she attempts to pry his hand off her with the other, or using unnecessary force to push herself away. Did she draw blood? Neither of which is better than the other. One could potentially end in an accident, while the other means having to hurt him physically. She has the good sense to realize that, at least. However, it doesn't take the desperate edge in her voice when she answers Ashton's temper with her own. So on they go, none the wiser to my presence.
Do you have any idea how much trouble you could get in?
That's why I'm asking you for help.
Is this what you've been doing these past 3 days? Because this doesn't make your case convincing, Isabella.
Rose died, Ash.
I know. Every single person in Luxburg knows. It's on the damn news. But that doesn't mean...
People are missing. Some of those are my friends. And BRC's just covering it all up.
You can't just barge into my office and expect me to do anything about it, right off the bat. This isn't a children's game, Isabella. We have procedures. We have to follow protocol. There's red tape all over this case for a reason.
Theory? BRC's feeding the mansion with real estate agents?
We sure as hell don't investigate things just because some stupid letter spooked us.
Ash, you have to believe me this time. If we don't do anything right now, more people will...
It's been a whole week. This stupid letter prank is getting old real fast. I'm sick of it. It was funny the first time, not so much now.
You're the only one that can help me with this, Ash. Even Rebecca won't.
All right, you two are awfully loud. What's going on here?
Both of their heads snap up, almost in unison. A displeased frown is on each of their faces, but this is a necessary interruption. What can they do? People still in their units have already taken interest on the commotion, with some taking a peek behind their curtains, while others are bold enough to creak open their doors if only slightly. If they don't keep it down, pretty soon our landlady will show up. Getting a reprimand from her is the last thing I want to happen, first thing on a Friday morning, even if this is hardly my fault.
Well, if you want to continue this, you two better do it elsewhere. You're disturbing other people.
Don't worry, we're done here.
No, we aren't. Becca, I looked it up. I called them. I visited some of them and...
Which you shouldn't have done in the first place. Isabella, you're going to create more problems for us with what you're doing. A team has already been assigned to it. Leave it to us.
Your precious team is looking at it the wrong way. Becca, it's not just Rose. There are others.
That last bit strikes a chord, prods strongly at a memory, at that vicious smile already etched deeply inside my mind. The image appears clear enough that, at the mere mention of it, I stumble on my own question.
What do you mean?
The letter, Rebecca! It's not...
It's nothing. If there's really something going on because of that dumb letter, none of us would be standing here. We've all read it, haven't we? But Rebecca's alive, Zach's alive, I'm alive. So for the last time, this isn't a curse.
I mean, in another universe I killed Zach, but we're just gonna skip over that.
There's a murderer on the loose, and your co-workers happen to be the victims. Give it a rest, Isabella. It's too early for this shit.
Don't you think that's too much for a coincidence?
Not so much. Most serial killers follow a pattern. I'll tell you about it some other time.
A serial killer that only kills real estate agents.
And anyway, coincidence or not, the point is, civilians like you aren't supposed to get involved. You're putting yourself in danger.
I wasn't chasing after...
Will the both of you slow down and stop arguing for a minute? What's this about your coworkers, Belle?
Becca, please don't tell me now you believe this shit.
Sure, in a heartbeat, I'll agree with Ashton. That's how it has always been, besides having a very good point. Really, they're the very same ones he'll make every time I ask too many questions. But the fact of the matter is, what he wants to hear from me right now is far from what I've been seeing, sensing these past few days. It doesn't matter what Isabella or I believe on our own. Something odd has been happening around me, and that letter she picked up is at the heart of this. But however I respond to the question in their faces, only one of them will be pleased with it. I'm gonna save. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If everyone communicated what they were seeing, I feel like this would be like, you know, a bit better. You know, if everyone communicated, like, I feel like Rebecca should reveal to Isabella what she's been seeing. You know, fuck Ash. So this one. Ready? Click. Oh yeah, baby. Oof. Ashton, in particular, won't be too happy to hear it. Imagining the look on his face doesn't take too much effort. His entire posture shifts the moment my reluctance shows, shoulders tensing, brows furrowing, eyes gaining a sharp edge. He's already bracing himself from the disappointment. And it will be a disappointment. Not in a million years did I ever believe I'll be saying this either.
I might have seen her. The woman Belle's been telling us about. The one she said she saw in the attic.
Both of them stare at me like I've grown an extra head, and for a few moments Ashton looks as if he's about to have a fit. A pause treads at its heels after, a silence thick enough one can almost hear a pin drop.
You're kidding, right?
Do I look like I'm joking?
Really, Becca? Not funny.
Ash, I'm not lying. Why would I lie about this? It's been this way since the film fest. The past few days have been really odd since we read that letter.
Or maybe you're all just feeling under the weather.
I'm not sick. Don't you think I'd know that by now?
Becca, you're starting to sound like Scaredy Cat. Give me a break.
Why don't you?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, you two.
Isabella's voice cuts sharply through the conversation, abruptly putting an end to the brewing argument.
It's all my fault. This is all my fault. I was only hoping I could fix this before any of you. I'm sorry for dragging you all into this.
She breathes in, deep, steadying, and in that moment something falls behind her eyes as she looks away.
I'll fix this. I promise.
A quiet resolve. The same one I saw in her that night from 3 days ago. But this time it burns brighter. Even Ashton wavers at its sight, and when she looks him straight in the eyes, gaze unflinching, gradually his grip on her wrist loosens. He's been holding her wrist this whole time.
Belle, there's nothing to fix. The problem is...
Just this once, Ash.
Her voice, though small and lacking any force, stops him. Along with it, every sound, every noise dies around us, a hush descending as if the world is waiting for her words. I mean, literally all your neighbors are listening.
You don't have to come with me. But if I don't do anything, I am going to regret it.
She lays a hand atop his, gentle, pleading, almost intimate if one does not consider the circumstances we found ourselves in.
Please.
Ashton will never tell a soul, will never admit it even to himself, but it is in this short second that his own resolve breaks. The moment the hard edge in his eye softens and he relinquishes his hold on her, letting his hand fall limply to his side. Wordlessly, Isabella steps back and runs off, leaving only a muttered thanks to a small, lackluster smile. Only after the last of her footsteps fade away does Ashton move, breaking the silence with one of his sharp exhales before reaching up to pinch the bridge of his nose in a gesture of frustration and surrender.
Did you really have to tell her that?
What do you want to hear from me then? That everything's fine?
No, I want all of you to stop putting these ideas in her head. None of it is helping. Never mind. Don't worry about her. I'll bring her back here.
He's already poised to leave when my own instinct takes over. I reach for him, gripping his elbow with the same unyielding grip, the action prompted by voices whispering at the back of my mind. He's already made it clear he's not going to believe me, but he deserves a word of caution. Who knows where all of this will take us, how all of this will end. He shouldn't be caught off guard, beliefs notwithstanding.
Ash, I know you don't believe in those things she's saying. And you know me. I'm less inclined to believe in those things as you do. But I've seen something. There's something strange going on here. You don't have to buy it. If you don't want to listen to me, fine. But please, try to hear her out. It's bad enough that Isabella goes off like this without telling anyone. I'm just worried something might happen to her if she keeps at it. Talk to her, okay?
As if she trusts me enough for that.
Doesn't the fact that she approached you first about this, instead of me, already say a lot?
A different kind of trust, granted implicitly and never spoken, sometimes too big, too fragile to last. He falls silent for a moment as he turns it over in his mind. In the end, all he manages to offer is a small nod before he departs, and a promise to, at least, listen to her, without the teasing or the jibes. A favor for me and the least he could do for her. This is as much as I can do for him as well until I've understood what's happening myself. Tonight, hopefully, where all this started will provide the answers I'm looking for. Sounds like we're nearing the end of Becca's story. Friday, October 28th. Isabella and Ashton arrived at Salem while having an argument about the missing BRC's employees' investigation. Annoyed by the noise, Rebecca interfered and, in the end, asked Ashton to keep an open mind. Ooh. Should we end the video here? Yeah, go on then. We will end the video here, everybody. Hopefully, I think the party's about to start and maybe this will be the end of Becca's story. One sec. We're about 3/4 of the way through Becca's story, but there were a lot of massive skips in it because of story stuff. So it might be next episode, it might be 2 episodes. I'm gonna say probably 2 episodes. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you all on the next episode. Bye!